To quote Rob Schneider from that infamous film, "Oh no, we suck again." um, it's weird to watch this because it seems like a case of Jekyll and Hyde, and there's a couple of things that you can sort of bank on, and there's a couple of things like positive things you can bank on. Another really overwhelmingly positive performance from Fred VanVleet tonight. We'll get into the defense stuff. I don't think that the defense was great, but I don't think that's on him. I really don't. Being matched up with Mikal Bridges, I mean, that's making Mikal Bridges look like Devin Booker was definitely on Nick Nurse tonight. I don't think that's on Fred VanVleet personally. Um, Perfect. Thank you, Blackhawk 2K. Gone. Rob gets me nervous. Okay. Why does Rob get you nervous? Yikes. Okay. Um, I think that this was a shaky start for Scotty Barnes tonight. Definitely a very shaky start from Scotty Barnes tonight. 3 turnovers very quickly. Just, oh, yikes. Sean, thanks a lot. Yeah, man, appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. Um, to anyone who was expecting the Raptors to win tonight, I was with you. I fully expected the Raptors to win tonight. We saw some lineups out there that looked downright dominant. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here because this game is it's a tale of complex emotions, right? Really, really rough start for Scotty Barnes, but I think he really pulled it together. I loved his compete level. I loved his defense. I loved his attitude, right? Um, Jay Ships saying, "What is going on?" Yeah, I agree. Love the stare down with Aiton. Me too. We're gonna look at that. I mean, it gave me serious Kobe vibes. I think that Precious Achiuwa had a decent game. I mean, for a guy who took 9 shots, really, what were you expecting, right? I think he played really well. I think Thaddeus Young, at his age, I keep saying his age like he's 500 years old, but just diving to the ground for a loose ball, I really, I really just love what I saw from him tonight. And in the previous game, we had talked about the top ranking out the top 16 Raptors, and I had put Thad behind Juancho. And tonight, I kind of looked foolish because Juancho was basically unplayable tonight. He was really bad. Um, Solid-ish game from Gary Trent Jr. It's kind of where you're expecting, but I think the Raptors are down 2 very important pieces. And while it doesn't always feel that way when things are clicking, when they're not clicking and you have to go deeper into your bench, I think you really start to sense the absence of an Otto Porter Jr. and an O.G. Anunoby, arguably 2 of your top 7 players when healthy. Christian Koloko got 2 minutes tonight. That was weird. Um, I guess I'm trying to get to a point where I can talk about what's going on with Pascal Siakam, right? And I didn't want to address it, right? I didn't want to get this chat started off on a negative foot because overwhelmingly, I just love the vibes for the most part of the last few shows have been so positive. But it's hard to ignore what's happening on the court. I mean, we can look at the stats. We have a really interesting show for you guys. Sorry about the rambling incoherence. I'm just trying to jumble myself into position here. What we're going to do tonight, we're going to obviously talk about the game. We're going to talk about what happened with this game, what I see for the Raptors happening on the rest of this road trip. But we're also going to do a deep dive into players that I ranked 9, 8, and 7 on this roster. Initially, I had thought we were going to do 9 through 5, and then we're going to do 4 through 1. But I'm like, why not spread the wealth? We'll do 9 through 6, then 9 through 7, 6 through 4, and then 3 through 1 in 3 different streams. And there's a lot of stats to break down, and I think you're going to get some surprising insights from that on the back end of the show. So I'm really looking forward to that. I realize this one's going to be a little bit late, so we'll hopefully get through the callers rather quickly, and then we'll go into that and keep this stream under 2 hours. I don't really feel like going up until 3 hours, but hey, if the chat takes us there, we will. Let's talk about Siakam. Defense. Non-existent? Is that fair to say? It's kind of non-existent. It's sort of just floating in and out of consciousness sometimes. I see guys fighting really hard. I see Fred VanVleet battling for, like, really hard. The compete level is insane. You can say what you want about the vertical challenge. You can say what you want about some passes being late, but man, he's trying to play the right way. He really is. I mean, I am not a Fred VanVleet apologist. If anything, I've probably been his loudest critic in the world. I'm pretty sure this guy knows about me very well and hates my guts. I'm not apologizing. I'm not saying shit because he was playing really bad earlier. But what he's been doing the last 2 weeks is commendable. And I think it's worth acknowledging when people change. He's been really good. And this is another good game. I think he was the player of the game tonight, personally. That's just my opinion. You're free to disagree with it. I don't know how you can argue with it. And he was really good. He made some really good passes. But Siakam, where are you, man? I mean, earlier in the season, we have seen stretches where Anunoby has been great, and Barnes has struggled. We've seen stretches where Barnes and VanVleet have struggled, but Siakam has been really dominant. We got everybody clicking right now, with the exception of course, O.G and Otto, who are just out. But pretty much everybody is just finding their groove right now. And your best player just goes MIA. It's not just the offense. It's not just the shot. It's not just, time and time again shooting under 50%. It's not just that. It's not just changing the shot diet and doing more catch and shoot stuff. It's not just that. It's the effort. It's the focus. It's the attention to detail. It's the compete level. It's the ball holding. Man, there are moments, like Fred VanVleet is one of the biggest culprits of ball stopping on this team. Gary Trent Jr., one of the biggest. There are so many guys who stop the ball, and most of them have cut it out for the most part. You got this one guy who just takes his time to survey the floor, and if he doesn't dribble it off his foot, he's going to put up an air ball. And if he doesn't put up an air ball, it's going to be a contested fadeaway. And they're not sending 3 players to him. Don't give me that. It's not 3 players coming to Siakam and taking him out of the game. He's taking himself out of the game by pressing and not making the right moves. And I'm not gonna psychoanalyze the guy and say why he's doing it. I don't care why he's doing it. I don't care if it's for the stats. I don't care if it's for the max. I don't care if it's for the super max. I don't care if it's for the all-star stuff. I don't care if it's to chase all NBA. I don't care if he thinks this is the way to help his team. It's not. It's not helping. Let's take a look at the stats here. I have so many slides. If you're noticing that I'm a little bit discombobulated, it's because there's so many slides in front of me that we want to manage, and they're a little bit out of order. But let's try to figure this out here. Yeah, there you go. There's the Raptors box score tonight. Scotty Barnes, uncharacteristic, right? 4 turnovers, picked up 3 real quick, picked up a 4th one, really costly one late. But overall, I think he played a half-decent game. Again, teams are going to really live with him shooting threes, and I think he settled for one too many tonight, 0 for 4. So to those of us who were celebrating that Scotty finally got his 3-point percentage over 30%, well, we're back down well below 30% again. Fred VanVleet, again, as I said, good game tonight. The bench, right? Chris Boucher, I think he tried, gave you 11 rebounds, right? 3 offensive rebounds, gave you a block, 5 points. He was all over the place. His compete level was great. Decision-making was not, but compete level was great. All right, Gary Trent Jr., again, 3 for 10, shooting 3. I mean, it was all right. He was good. It wasn't the problem. I don't think he was the problem. Precious Achiuwa, I don't think he was the problem. It's Siakam, man. It is Siakam. 1 assist, 0 steals. Again, 0 steals. How many times this month has he had 0 steals? I mean, this is a guy who consistently averages 1 to 1.5 steals per game. Where is the effort? 0 steals, 0 blocks, 3 rebounds. My God, if you replace P. Siakam with A. Bargnani, that would be a very fitting stat line. I just don't understand how you can... Look, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, it kind of sucks because you're seeing what the other guys can do, and it seems like one guy just isn't playing ball. For the Suns, Mikal Bridges, right? Made him look like an all-star tonight. Is that on Nurse? I think that a lot of it is on Nurse, for sure. Let me just pull this. I mean, Darius Saric, 11 points in 14 minutes, got to the front of the rim. Just, I'm just curious how you make this guy look so good. Ish Wainwright, I think he was really good for this team. He came in early, and another, guy who the Raptors let go of that I think probably is better than at least somebody on your team right now. Chris Paul, just, positive floor general, 19 points, 9 assists, nothing flashy. Hit a big three to close the half over, I believe it was Boucher. Just really good game. I mean, they got almost nothing from Cam Johnson tonight. 1 for 9, 1 for 6 from three. But in terms of team stats, this is where it gets absolutely abysmal. The Raptors, 24 assists to 40. They shoot 10% worse from the field, and they shoot 5% worse from three. Another game where the Raptors don't shoot in the 20s from three, but honestly, I think we had gotten used to something better than 24 assists. Wait, is this? This is from the previous game. My bad, guys. My screen's really small. I apologize. Here we go. My apologies. I'm gonna have to cut that part out. My bad. Um, they shoot 5% worse from the field. Let me just pull this up full screen. Okay, so they shoot 5% worse from the field. They shoot abysmally from the line. They give up 39%, shoot 27% from three themselves. Matchup at the line, almost dead even. They do out-rebound them, in large part due to a crazy 16 offensive rebounds, large part due to Scotty Barnes getting those, I think, 3 offensive rebounds on 1 possession. Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa. Again, you're a better rebounding team with Precious Achiuwa. We had gotten used to that number of 24 assists, and I said that that was low. And oh, did I not realize how low it was, because we got to 19 assists tonight. I don't know. It's small stuff, man. 54 in the paint. I think really, like, you can blame a lot of things. You can say uncharacteristic high turnovers for the Raptors. Raptors usually a pretty low turnover team. They do win the possession battle, but not by as much as they would need to offset the gap from three. I think the Raptors 3-point shooting did them in tonight again. Is it a talent thing? What is it? I don't know. We can talk about it. Now, yeah, let's get to some callers now. I think we have a lineup. We have a lot of people lined up here, and again, to everybody out there, before we get to the calls, just want to say 3 quick things. Number one, the last chat. Thank you so much, man. I was overwhelmed by the support. You guys just flooded the chat with super stickers and super likes and super stickers and super chats, and I think it was really nice. And I'm not looking at the comments right now, but I'm going to scroll back while other people talk to see if there's been more of that. Really overwhelmed by the support. Thank you so much. It means a lot. That this community means a lot to you guys. Number two, we're going to be we're going to be going like analytics deep dive, as I mentioned later in the chat. So please do stick around for that. And if you don't end up sticking around for that, just in case the calls go a little bit long, definitely make sure to check it out tomorrow. And I will become better about adding chapters to these long live streams so that they become a little bit easier to navigate. I apologize after these chats. Sometimes I get a little bit lazy and I don't do it. And I realize it's a complete chore to scrub through 3 hours and not know where these things are. But I'm really proud of the research and work. Well, not so much the research, but I'm just proud of what we're going to be presenting towards the second half of the show. So I really will look forward to indexing everything to make it easier to navigate. For anyone who dips out early, please know that you can definitely come back to this tomorrow. Third thing, to 245 people in here, please do hit the like button. It gets this chat out to more people. We're still 3 minutes away from midnight. There's probably still some people who might be listening to this going to bed. So let's put some people to sleep with some chats, and definitely let's smash the like button. Okay, so first up, we are going to get to... Oh, wow. We have so many people. Our entire queue is booked. Okay. We're going to get to first, we're going to pull up FA and NY4 Raps. Hey, guys. How you doing? There's no buzzing. Success.
Good for the tank. How you doing?
Great. I mean, I'm good. I'm in good spirits. Sorry about the disorganized start to the show. How are you guys doing? You guys got you got what you wanted.
Yeah, I got what I wanted, and I noticed that was it during the game or sometime. Masai and what's the name of their president, James Jones?
Uh huh.
They went under the tunnel together. I think hopefully maybe they're talking some trades.
Who's talking trades?
Possibly Masai. There's a video of Masai and their president of basketball going under the tunnel
Hmm.
and
I mean, guys talk, right? I mean, we saw a picture of Masai with somebody last summer. I think it was Rob Pelinka or something. Nothing happened between the Lakers and I
yeah,
think
but
it was Rob Pelinka.
I think this game was a game for the tank, right? They had won this game, it would have been like, okay, let's give it a chance, but something is likely gonna happen because they're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's just so sad to see like because earlier in the year we were, I think not we were not saying that. You, I, and your brother here were not saying that, but a lot of people in Toronto were saying, get Siakam some freaking help, right? And I got to be honest tonight, man. I'm not trying to. I think this is gonna sound really rude, but I looked around the court and there was Dario Saric, and there was Malachi Flynn, and there was Pascal Siakam, and I'm like, who's the worst player on the court right now? I feel like it's Siakam. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just so aggressively disengaged from this game. I understand, like, look, is it the minutes? If it is the minutes, please, for God's sakes, rest him.
yeah.
For his own sake.
I'm gonna defend him. I think he's the minute. He's getting up to him. Like he's averaging 37 minutes, right? Leading the league in minutes. Like it's not sustainable. It's
But
really not sustainable.
okay, devil's advocate. Let me play devil's advocate here. Do you know Scotty Barnes has played more minutes than him this year?
Scotty Barnes is younger. Pascal is 29. Scotty is 21. So let
20,
me
no,
counter.
he's 28, and it's easier
It's
to
gonna
play
be
these
20.
minutes
It's
when you're
gonna be
28.
29 in March. Let me counter the devil's advocate.
That's funny. Okay, in fairness though, being
I'm
21
defending
is not
Pascal.
easy to play those big minutes, man. Like, let's be real. Like, Scotty's a genetic freak that he can play these
Yeah,
minutes,
but
but
Scotty was gassed out when they called the timeout. That was in the fourth quarter. He was gassed, really, really gassed. He was defending Chris Paul full court all game, and I think that really affected like some of his numbers, right? He was defending Chris Paul all game, and Chris Paul really wasn't doing much with Scotty guiding him. So I think something that we have to give Scotty kudos for is been playing really, really well on defense. Even I know you
mhm.
mentioned the three turnovers, but the effort was there.
I mean, yeah, the effort was crazy. His block on DeAndre Ayton was sick, and I just like his attitude and his compete level, right? And I keep saying compete level because there's a lot of people who criticized it earlier in the year. They said he looks kind of he's floating in and out of games, and to to start the game, I was like, oh, is he going to have his first bad game in a really long time right now? Because I think his analytics could really not sustain that. He's been boosting up, 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 and I was like, nah, I think he's going to turn it around at some point in this game. And it was like 6 minutes into the first quarter, and I think the switch just turned on.
But I'm
Um,
really glad that VanVleet is playing. I have to give him credit. He's playing well, and I'm
Absolutely.
glad. I'm glad not because he's gonna be good for the team, but I'm glad because he's good for his trade value.
Yeah, no, I mean he's really upped his value at this point. I think if he's looking for 130, I mean, you can't say 2 weeks is going to make his whole season, but he's been saying all year the numbers are going to look like different at the end of the year. And I mean, when people say something and then they actually do it, credit to them, man. I mean, he's
But
been
the buzz out this night is like Clippers are going. They want to go all out for him because I don't think they're gonna get Mike Conley from Utah. So we'll see what happens. Kawhi is looking for a point guard.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Clippers have to offer. They don't want to get rid of Terrence Mann. There's a lot there. What'd you think of Precious Achiuwa tonight?
He had a so-so game, but at least he's consistent, right? He still had like was it 12 rebounds and double double. I think Precious is scratching the surface of his talent. I think he's really. I understand the IQ stuff, right? But he's so talented. He's like the most athletic player on the team. So just give the reins to Scotty and let Precious and hopefully they keep Gary Trent and possibly OG, then let them run the show.
Yeah. K Money says my head hurts from this game. Way too much iso ball again. I agree, and I mean it's not the same guys who were doing it earlier. It's different faces. It's like a disease that has infected. It's working its way through the team, right?
I know,
Trust.
when do we start holding Nick Nurse accountable? Because he's the coach, right? Like
Yeah.
ISO. Like, come on, can't you run a play? Like, move the freaking ball. Forgive my French.
You just said frigging, and you're saying excuse your French. That's what
I
a nice guy.
I had
I
myself.
swear 50. I swear 50
I had
times.
myself. I had myself in the middle. I was going to use the other F word.
Ah, yes. I used the F word at least 25 times, and Daryl, who's on the show, at one point said, "Hey, would you consider please not swearing? Because I would like to show my kid, I would like to show my, I think it's his son, these streams, and if you swear, I can't do it." And I said I would try, and then I completely forgot about it, and now Daryl's waiting in the queue, after 5 weeks of not watching Raptors basketball, and I'm just reminded, I'm like, "Oh, Rob, be careful, don't swear."
So,
It's
Paul, what do
hard,
you think
man.
of Paul? What do you think of the game? You've been quiet.
It's what do yeah, Paul, yeah. Oh, you're on mute. Unmute.
You gotta get a mic.
Oh, is that why you don't have any?
Your earphone. Yeah, we can hear you.
We can't hear you. Oh no. You want to try to
Well,
leave and you want to try to leave and come back? I know he can hear us. Okay,
okay.
he's gonna leave. Let's see if we can pull him back. Um,
Yeah, I was worried today that we're going to move to seventh worst, but because the Lakers lost, I don't know why they rested LeBron James and AD after they were complaining all weekend about that foul.
yeah.
But at least we lost, so we're keeping our sixth position, and Orlando won. So hopefully we can get to the fifth. Orlando is playing really good basketball.
I mean, there
They
was a
came back.
report today. There was a report today that Masai Ujiri wants to wait until the deadline to, see which direction he wants the team to
Yeah,
go.
it's likely gonna wait, right? I think he's honestly it's a tough decision. Because if you're tanking, right, you're
Hmm.
looking at 2 years out. So if you're rebuilding, if you're going to wait and the status quo, then you're
Hmm.
going to look at the salaries. Then if you're going to trade one or two, then you're looking at building your bench. So it's a tough one.
It's definitely tough. I just think the problem in this team, there's been a lot of talk about the bench is a problem on this team. And I just want to say, I don't think it's the bench. I think it's the deep bench. I think it's guys like I was just looking at this roster from 17, 17 when we had 17 guys up till about 10. And I don't feel really comfortable apart from, okay, like you could argue Jeff Doughton Jr. I love Jeff Doughton Jr., but apart from my love for Jeff Doughton Jr., I don't feel perfectly comfortable that putting any one of those guys on the court at any given time is not going to cost you. I think that's partly on Nurse, for not giving consistent burn. I don't know how you put a guy like Christian Koloko out for 2 minutes. I don't know how you put Malachi Flynn in so late. Like,
Yeah, but
this
I
is just
think it's
such.
how I think it's how you put them, right? You don't just put the whole bench at once. Why not like sprinkle one
I
at a
really
time?
hated that lineup with Scotty, and the
We
bench.
start the year. Yeah, exactly. And
That was
it made him look
terrible.
bad. Put Pascal in the same position and you get the same result. Like that was terrible lineup. Like at least play three starters at the same time, then sprinkle the bench in. Like I don't know. Sometimes I worry about Nick Nurse, right? Because when he took over the team, he had like superstars and around him and veterans, right? But now
Yeah.
he can't even play the young players. It's really they're not really developing any of the bench. Period.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think units with Scotty need shooters and finishers, right?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
like I guess the Malachi Flynn component works, right? But then the Juancho, Thad, and I think who's Boucher, right? Boucher was the third guy in
Mhm.
that lineup. They're all kind of like shaky shooters right now. I know Juancho shouldn't be. In theory, he should be like the best shooter in that lineup. He's not. right now, right? So it's just basically you're playing Scotty with three guys who don't shoot. I don't like Scotty in bad lineups. I just don't. I think they need a lot of the same areas in the court. So if and I don't think Dad played bad today. I just don't like the lineup. I don't like how the lineup synergizes, and I think it makes everybody worse. Um, I don't know. I think this was a blown opportunity.
Why is it that Toronto, anytime they bring a shooter, right, they turn them into non-shooters? Because they play so much ISO ball, the ball doesn't move. The ball doesn't have life in Toronto. Like they
Hmm.
play ISO ball. So anytime you get the ball right, it's a contested shot. When you watch other
Yeah.
things, the way they move the ball right, they create open looks.
No, I agree. And I mean, we've seen players go from this system to another system, and I think, at some point, maybe this off season or this trade deadline, we're going to see Malachi Flynn in a completely different uniform. And don't be surprised if you start seeing him, hit like 46% again from three. I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a shot diet thing. Maybe it's a defensive energy thing, but yeah. Anyway, final thoughts, guys. And Paul, your mic is still not working. I feel so bad for you, man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
but I'll do the talking for you tonight. So, so
yeah, FA wins, on that one. He hacked your computer. He's like, you know what?
Paul is
No talking time for you today.
Paul is tanking.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, if it was a win for Team Tank. I know you guys are both aggressively on Team Tank. I read your comments all the time, so sleep easy. Again, these are winnable games, and it's funny because you win a game you probably shouldn't have won against Sacramento, and now you lose a game that you definitely should have won against Phoenix without Booker, and I feel like it kind of balanced out. Right now, you're back at zero. It kind of undoes the one good thing that you do. So I don't know. G says this team only has three real shooters and Otto. In all fairness, the roster needs tweaking and the bench needs shooters. Yeah, man. I mean, with teams shooting as well as they are from three, you just can't compete
but
shooting in the 20s.
we signed a shooter for a 10-day contract and he only played one and a half game.
And he
So go
played really
figure.
well. He
And
played
he played
really
really well.
well.
Go figure. So we can't be complaining that we don't have shooter when you signed
Can
one
you
for
can you
20 days.
imagine that lineup tonight? If I mean, Wieskamp and Flynn and Barnes with
Yeah,
Precious Achiuwa and Christian Koloko. Imagine that lineup instead of the lineup we saw to start the fourth quarter. I feel like that lineup would be great because Koloko would constantly put pressure on the rim. He would dive aggressively to the rim. Malachi and Wieskamp would create all sorts of space for Precious and Scotty to attack. I just feel like there's a version of the bench that could work. You're just playing all the wrong guys. Um,
at the same time, yeah.
and I think Nick Nurse is a really smart dude. So, maybe Nick Nurse is on your side. Pro tank. Anyways, have a good night, guys. I really
All
appreciate you
right,
coming on.
take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Have a good one. Okay. Next up, we have. Okay, hang on. Next up, we have Coach Mo, your goat, Marco. We're gonna get a Marco visit. We have Blackhawk 2K, and we have Daryl. Okay, Coach Mo first. What's up, man?
Hey, I'm gonna keep this short since there's a long line, but watching these games, I'm so conflicted. Like I don't even know how to feel watching these games.
Me neither, man. I'm lost.
It's the weirdest feeling watching these games, and I thought I knew what I wanted, and then I changed my mind like every other possession, right? Like I know who we should trade, then I'm like, no, no, keep him, trade him.
We can't be too reactionary, but I mean, look, game by game is
It's
crazy. Possession by
crazy.
possession is a new level of crazy. No
Yeah,
offense.
yeah, yeah. I just don't know, and it's like it's kind of liberating where you don't care about the outcome of the game in a sense.
Right.
Where before you kind of be frustrated with the winnable game,
Hmm.
now it's like you know there's a silver lining in anything that happens.
Right.
But
I mean, yeah. Look, you and I again, we are once again gonna have to. I don't know. Is it too early to issue a public apology to Fred VanVleet for doubting that he could do this? I'll be honest. I don't care whether I thought he would do this. I didn't think he could do this. I legitimately felt that his back and his body was so cooked and that last year was so fluky, but he's doing this against pretty competent teams. It's not because they're facing Charlotte and he's just beating up on bad teams. Like, he's playing really well again and again and again. And I saw somebody make a comment today. I can't remember who it was, and I definitely didn't respond to it. But they said, like, "Come on, Rob, he's playing so shit." Because in the last game, he shot under, I think, 40%
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the field, and I'm like, I don't care how he's shooting, man. I told everybody right from the start what my modus operandi here was. I don't care if he goes 0 for 11. I just want him to play the right way, guard on defense, move the ball on offense, space, take the shots that are right. They're gonna go in, they're gonna go out. I don't care. Tonight, he made almost 50% of them. Last game, he didn't. Both games, he played super well. There's
Yep.
all these reads that he's making. That pass under the basket to Scotty Barnes, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That
Scotty
play, I've
relocated
been
a
waiting
little
for
bit.
you to make that my whole life.
Hmm.
And every goddamn time he's had that opportunity, he's tried to put it up and get swatted. There's always going to be some amount of getting swatted when you're undersized. But consistently, I'd say right now, I agree with 9 out of every 10 decisions Fred VanVleet is making.
Yep.
That's like a success rate that I agree with Scotty Barnes. Like, what the hell is happening here? I don't know. But
Um,
it's been great to see.
the whole Pascal issue, and you were right about his effort level.
Hmm.
I'm starting to get annoyed with this "he's tired" um, rhetoric.
Well, Marco did point out that he's played more minutes in January than Scotty Barnes. My argument with that is he's not really playing that consistently on
Exactly.
defense.
He's taking,
He's
yeah,
kind of
he's
taking plays off. There was one play tonight. I can't remember who got the shot, but it's kind of weird because sometimes you watch these games, and shout outs to Susan Garrett, one of our Raptor community members. If she ends up watching this, just, a shout out to her. She's left like a $70 super sticker on our last video, which was crazy. She was actually at the game tonight. She was attending, and she ended up going to Phoenix to watch this game from the third row. And I just felt so bad for her because to go that way, all that way to watch the Raptors play on the road to support them, and to see this effort was just, it was bad. Like, it wasn't a great game to watch. I don't think there was a ton to cheer for. I don't think the outcome was all that unpredictable. It's kind of like one of those things where, like, right at the start of the fourth, you felt like this is over, right? That's kind of where I was with this
yeah.
game.
I think it.
So
I think it
yeah,
turned when Gary attempted the dunk. Nothing against Gary. It's not really his fault. But I think we would have gone up four. He missed the dunk. He fell on the floor, and then yeah, the momentum swing shifted on that play.
yeah,
But what's weird is Siakam seems to be the one guy who would be the hardest to have him play the right way consistently. That's what it looks like right now, and that's saying a lot since Gary and Fred were like ball stoppers.
yeah,
But
dude, you know me. I wasn't jumping on this guy's bandwagon when he was playing out of his mind.
oh, of course,
Okay. Like,
I
when
was
those
rolling
when
my
those
eyes.
crazy terrible shots were going in, I was like, just watch the shot diet
Exactly.
cannot keep
Yeah.
up. It's
No,
just a terrible shot diet. He's not that
off
talented. He's
balance,
not talented enough to do what he's doing, right?
off balance, step back, mid range jumpers.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not
honestly,
sustainable. Off
and
balance.
and honestly, the work that he puts in the off season, I think it's worth noting that he usually, this is not the first time he has started a season out really well.
He always
He's
starts out hot, except last year because he had a break coming in, so he didn't really start the season. But
Well, he didn't. You're right. And, I wonder if I cannot say it's injury because it's gotten progressively worse, not progressively better. I've never seen him limp. I've never seen him hobble.
nope.
I've never seen him holding anything. I haven't heard anything about an injury. I just see a guy who consistently is late on rotations, who's taking plays off on defense. It is terrible to watch. There was a play where Scotty battled 3 guys on the glass,
Yeah, yeah.
and I
He
think
was
he
fighting two
lost
guys. He was fighting two guys. Yeah,
2 guys, and there was a third shading. Like, there was
yeah.
a third waiting, and Siakam's just standing there, just watching it.
Yes, watching.
Like, at what point is this ball just going to trickle into my hands? I mean, this fan base crucified Andrea Bargnani for that type of effort, and I kind of feel bad for Siakam too, because you know what? I'll tell you right now, in 1 month, he just cost himself All NBA.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
what
there
on the trade.
because be honest, this month, if he plays like he was playing in October, November, they probably win about 5 more games. Boom,
Let me
right
ask
back
you
into the
this.
All NBA
Let me
conversation.
ask you this. How much better is he playing than Julius Randle?
He's playing worse than Julius Randle.
Is he
You
a
know,
better
I
player this
look.
year than Julius Randle? The
I
way
was.
he's played this month, Julius Randle's picking it up, and his team is like. And some people be like, Julius Randle, you're crazy. I'm not.
Dude, I think the team around Siakam is better than the team around Randle. You want my honest opinion? We can argue that Randle probably has the most talented teammate in Brunson, and that's probably
There's
not
already some guy
close.
in the chat. There's already some guy in the chat saying stop. Dude,
Yeah,
Siakam isn't a top. He's not John Moran. He's not. These things aren't blasphemous. Like there are
yeah. I
guys who
mean,
are made men. They're untouchable. He's not Jason Tatum.
yeah. He's really not. I mean, he's been aggressively bad for about a month
Like
now.
when I
I
hear people
think
say build around Siakam, like build what? Like you want to build around Bradley Beal and go nowhere? Like I don't understand when people say these things. You'll be perpetually Washington.
Zach
Build around Zach
Levine,
Levine. Where will
Bradley
that take you?
Beal, even
No.
I know we're being complimentary of him here, but Julius Randle, look, all this time I've been like, you know what, this guy's firmly top 20, but I'm not putting him in top 15. I've just been sliding him between 15, 16. When he plays really well, I'm like, oh, he's definitely 15th or 16th. When he plays really bad, I'm like 19th, 20th. This month, I really do think if you compare every player in January, he's not a top 40 player in the NBA right now for the month. I'm not saying for the year. I'm just saying
But
for the month, he has not played like a top 40 player. I don't think he's playing like a top 50 player. There are too many guys who are picking it up right now for him to be falling back this bad. There was a comment here. Fred and Scotty both want to win. I have to say, as someone who's been a very big Fred VanVleet detractor this year, one of the biggest reasons is because I know he's not stupid. I know he sees the game, but to see what to know what he knows. I've heard him talk about basketball, and he had this quote, "I'm a basketball elitist." He is. He really is. Like he knows the other team's entire playbook. He knows the analytics. He knows what works. He knows what doesn't work. So watching a guy who knows everything I know about the analytics and play style and knows that it's not going to work and then keep doing it, it just felt like ego unchecked, right? But at least like I know he cares about winning. I mean, he may have an ego about what his role will be on winning, but he cares about winning a
yeah,
lot. I've never seen Fred VanVleet just check out of a game. I've seen him aggressively bet on himself, but
but
I've never seen Fred VanVleet just check out of a game or mail it in on a defensive possession where he's just not even rotating. Like he's trying, he's just late, too small, whatever. This is weird. Now, a lot of people called out Scotty Barnes for quitting on his team earlier this year, and I was up in arms. So I'm not going to say Siakam's quitting on his team. I'm not saying that he's just not trying. I'm just saying that he's cooked right now. Whatever the hell I'm watching right now is not the Pascal Siakam that I saw earlier in the
and you
year.
can't use injuries as an excuse. You can't use that.
And it's not, and I don't think it's injuries and I don't think it's minutes. I think you just need to sit this guy for a couple games. Look, Giannis sits all the time. Okay. Just sit him.
I was
Just sit him.
shocked they played him the back to back. I was shocked they played him in the back to back.
Yeah, man, this is a crazy schedule. It was going to be like 7 games in 12 nights. This is a lot to put on the guy. He also takes a ton of contact. In fairness, I just
Yeah.
want to be fair. He gets to the line a lot. He takes a lot of contact. He's on the ground every third possession.
Mhm.
He had at least to start the year a pretty complicated role in defense. I think, just give the guy a couple of days.
I,
This team, he needs it. He
I
needs a
think
couple of days
I
off.
think his issue though is
Hmm.
he's not good enough to force the issue. And he's not the type of player to let the game come to him. Like if it's like 4 or 5 minutes into the first quarter and it's not naturally coming to him, he's just gonna force it, you know?
Hmm. Okay, question. Is Siakam better than Bam Adebayo? Short answer, no, he's not. In my
I don't
opinion, no, he's not. Like right now, he's not. In January, he's not. In
yeah.
December
Yeah,
or
in November
November,
he
yeah, I
was
think
one
I think
hundred
he
percent.
was
Yeah.
100%.
November
But
he was like top 10 best player for like a couple weeks. That's how well he was
I
playing.
don't think he was ever top
I
10,
mean, he
man.
was. I could listen to it with the numbers he was putting up and the efficiency. Now, obviously, it wasn't sustainable.
It wasn't that efficient, man. I mean, he's never touched 60%
I
true
mean, he was
shooting.
he was averaging near 30. But as we go along, he's now 25.
Mm,
It's going down. The percentages are going down.
I don't care what volume he's shooting. I think through 7 games in the year, he was leading the entire league in shot attempts. I don't care if you want to be a volume scorer. I never rated Jerry Stackhouse, and I'm not rating him for that. I think I look at it from two-way potential. There's too much talent at the top 7, top 8 for him to bump one of those guys. And so at best, this season was going to end up with him giving a miracle performance and ending up being the 9th best player in the league. And that would be a miracle. And or it was going to turn out with him being top 25. And I think he's trending closer to top 25. And, you know, maybe if you're the Raptors, you look at this as, okay, well, you know, at least now we get him, hopefully, some help if you want to consistently consider building around him. And you can look at it and say, okay, well, now we have a manageable cap figure of 25%, because the difference between 25% and 35% of the cap is enormous. So, you know, and I don't doubt that emotions are playing a part in this. I don't doubt that the team turmoil and trade rumors and all that stuff's playing a part of it too. Anyway, any final thoughts, Mo?
Yeah, it's Siakam he's interesting because do you see him as a good complementary piece? Fred is a great complementary piece. Fred is easy.
He could be, depending on who he's complimenting.
Yeah.
See, do I see him as a good complementary piece to Scotty? Not really.
No.
Do I see him as a good complementary piece to a Chris Paul? Hell yes. So that's the difference. Yeah. Anyway, Coach Mo, thanks a lot for calling in, man. Appreciate it, as always. And now we welcome back the prodigal son, Daryl. Daryl, how are you? Daryl has been on vacation, but unlike some of you, he's been on vacation in Toronto. Now he's back home, I think. You're back home in Toronto?
I was never in Toronto. On the West Coast.
You're in Canada.
Yeah, I was in Vancouver. Oh, Victoria. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell me, what'd you think? And you took 5 weeks off the Toronto Raptors, and
I did. I took 5 weeks off of everything. So I went
everything.
I went back. I mean, from my life, I put my life on pause for 5 weeks, and I went back to the old stomping grounds where I grew up, and spent 5 weeks completely devoted to family and friends and nothing else.
That's amazing.
So yeah, no, it was great.
And over the holidays, that's a really good time to do it.
Well, I managed to pool all of my vacation days, my sick days, my personal days.
That's dope.
And a couple of like national holidays, and just squeaked out exactly 5 weeks. And I basically forced my principal to say yes, or I was just like going to quit. So.
Okay. So what'd you think of the game tonight?
Yeah. So again, like everybody else is saying, yeah, it was a weird kind of, I don't know, kind of like an old familiar feeling of Raptors of years past, you know, kind of where just like you see them.
Past? Is like, do you realize how long it's been since the Raptors were this bad?
No, but yeah, you're right. But like, it's a consistency issue, you know, like they absolutely curb stomp Portland, and then they come back and they do this. So it's like, it's a consistency thing. It's a consistency thing where back in the day, especially in the playoffs, you'd get like these performances where you're just like, oh, it's right there. Take it. And then they just don't. So in that sense, it was kind of a weird, familiar feeling for me.
Yeah. I mean, I felt a little bit of cautious optimism in the last game. Scotty played well. Precious played well. Fred's turned a corner. Gary's playing well. I'm like, man, if they can get Siakam rolling and they can get OG back, like this team has a sneaky shot to be like the 5th or 4th best team in the East entering the play-in. And if you're really that good and you find a rhythm, you know, you might get some support and help at the trade deadline, which shores up some of your weaknesses. Now you're just waiting on an injury, right? You might just have a competitive playoffs. And if you're entering the play-in, I don't think there's a team in the play-in that's in shape like to be better than Toronto at its best, you know? Yeah. Indiana, Washington, Miami, Chicago, like the teams in this area of the conference do not scare me at all.
Atlanta, no, I know, like
Washington, like they don't at all.
Right.
But the problem is that like tonight, I'm just watching this product and I'm just like, oh no, what was the past win for then? If you're just gonna come out and play like this, it's like laying an egg. Like it's just like and it's not everybody. And that's the sad part. It's like, look, earlier in the season, I was feeling bad for the guys who were wanting to move the ball and not getting the ball. And, and now I just feel bad for the guys who are just busting it man, Thad Young
Yeah.
crashing to the floor and multiple efforts. Scotty Barnes just crashing the offensive glass. Precious Achiuwa, I think Gary Trent Jr. just playing really hard. And just
Yep.
to have like a couple guys just come in and just do nothing. And this
Yeah.
is not like we are in a league where just having one guy not connected on defense and offense can cost you like a 10-0 run in like less than a minute. It's so fast.
Well, and you're right. And like I'm not gonna. I'm a Siakam fan, but I'm not gonna disagree with you about Siakam's January at all.
Mm.
Yo, Teacher Mike, what up, Taiwan? Yeah, Teacher Mike lives like
Yeah,
five
that's the guy.
minutes, 10 minutes
Yeah.
away from me here in Taiwan. So, no, Siakam, like nobody's gonna argue that he's having a good month. Absolutely not. But I guess for me, I'm just wondering, well, why? Why? What's going on? And
Trade rumors.
I was looking at his rebound totals, and like I remember back a couple of months ago, he was saying how Nick Nurse was just constantly on him, rebound the ball, rebound the ball, rebound the ball, and he was kind of making a joke about like how he's like, I guess I have to,
Mhm.
and so he was, and he was rebounding pretty well, but the last 2 games he's had 3 rebounds in each game, 3 rebounds. So that's a product of a couple of things, right? It's effort, number one. But I think number 2, a lot of it has to do with Precious being back in the lineup. So
Yes.
Precious is the natural rebounder there. Precious is grabbing the boards. And I think Siakam plays better when he's in rhythm. And I think just having somebody else occupying the space that he was being successful in is throwing off his rhythm. I think that could be part of it. I think that he's a guy that it's like things have to be just so for it to be clicking, and then any little thing comes along and that'll just throw him right off for a while.
Let's be honest about something. Defensive rebounding is hella overrated, first of all.
True. Fair enough.
Especially the way Siakam rebounds. Look, I consider rebounding a 2-part process. There are some guys who do both parts themselves. There are some guys who, quite frankly, only do one part of it. Okay. The boxing out is the tedious part. Okay.
Yeah.
There are plenty of rebounds that Thad could grab, but he lets Siakam grab them, or Scotty could grab, but he lets Fred grab it, because ultimately the guy grabbing the rebound, at least on the defensive glass, not offensive glass, the defensive glass, ideally should be the one bringing up the court, bringing the ball up the court, and that's a really big positive of those Russell Westbrook Thunder teams, is that you don't have to waste time. Sometimes you'll see a guy grabs the rebound, passes it to someone he shouldn't pass to. He passes it to the point guard. Now you've wasted an extra 2 seconds where your offense could have been in transition, because every missed shot should be a transition opportunity, and defensive rebounds can only come off of missed shots. It's just logical.
Yeah.
So too many times I feel like Siakam has gotten away with Koloko, Barnes, etc., just letting him grab rebounds, right? Rebounds that they could have grabbed themselves. And quite frankly, it distorts how you feel about him when you look at a box score. Because tonight, you see 3 rebounds, and you're like, wow, look at the effort, right? He's not really like in any better position or worse position than he usually is to grab rebounds, just that no one's really letting him grab it. And what I found most weird tonight was he was so aggressively bad that there was a period of time when Scotty, Malachi, and Thad were on the court, and they were basically freezing him out of the offense. In the fourth quarter, when he came and replaced Juancho, he basically was Juancho. They played 3-man action, 2-man action. They weren't even looking to pass to him.
So that kind of makes you wonder, like all these kind of little hints of stuff coming out of the dressing room. Like, is there something to that? Is there fire to that smoke?
Well, I always thought that the drama on this team started and ended with Fred VanVleet. I don't really think it's OG or Scary or anything like that. I always thought it was Fred VanVleet, and he's playing out of his mind. So I don't know what's up with this. I haven't seen anyone. Kuwato from Mars, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what is wrong right now with this team necessarily, but it doesn't look pretty. Anyways, any final takeaways?
Yeah, just my second thought about possibly why Siakam might be struggling like this is And just for myself, like I play quite a lot of badminton, and
Okay.
I suck. I'm not good.
This is
I
the
suck.
first time, by the way, in all the chats we've ever
Yeah.
had, this is the first time badminton has ever been mentioned. I just
Well,
want to give
that's
you the
why.
congrats on that
Yes,
one.
that's why I
We've
feel
mentioned
like
tennis, we've mentioned canoeing, we've mentioned rowboating, I think at one point, we've mentioned football, soccer.
yeah.
Badminton was bound to come up. I'm glad that you're the person to bring it up. Perfect.
Well, it deserves its 15 minutes here, so I'll give it less than 15, but sure. I play a lot of badminton, and I'm really bad at it, and so I try to improve my game. And there's one guy that I play with. He's very very good. He's extremely very very good at it. And I watch him, and I try to learn what I can from him, and then I try it in the games, and
Mhm.
then I'll have a really good day where it's like I'll be able to implement these things that I've learned, and I'll just be smashing it. I'll be like feeling on top of the world, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of room for growth. I can improve,
Mhm.
and so the next game I'm going to just do these things and then do more, so that I can bring my game up to the next level. I get the feeling watching Siakam that he is exactly in that same headspace. He thinks that there's so much more room for growth. That's why he's trying all these ridiculous spinning off balance fadeaway shots, flicks with his left hand and everything. And it's like, I know that he puts in the work. And in his mind, he's like, work going to show. But
Well, actually, we're going to show is a Scotty Barnes quote, and
that's why.
I refuse to let you ascribe a Scotty Barnes quote to Pascal
Fine.
Siakam. I will block you.
I apologize.
From this chat.
I apologize, but for whatever else Pascal is, he's a hard worker in the
Look,
offseason.
we
really
have
is.
heard everything about Pascal Siakam's legendary work ethic. No one is questioning it. I am not about to pull a Doug Smith and start saying, oh, he needs to work hard in the offseason. There is an upper limit to how much you can go in terms of high-level creation, box creation, being an alpha, being a 30% usage guy when you don't see the game.
And that's what I think.
And you're saying that he's trying all this new stuff. I'm sorry, man. It's the same move over and over and over and over in different variations. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the spin. It's an awkward thing. It's jumping towards the basket, falling out of bounds, and yelling.
Well, it's shot diet.
It's
shot diet, like you say.
It's not seeing the court. It's not making decisions very quickly. Look, Chris Bosh used to drive me crazy because he would have this thing where he'd turn around, he would survey, and then he would, he was like, 45 to 47% on those drives, and he would just go at, someone and throw up a hook or throw up a turnaround. And it was just so boring and it was so predictable. And he would kind of stop the ball and he would survey. This is the way players played a long time ago, and that's why offenses were what they were a long time ago. The game has evolved, man. If somebody built a time machine and imported a guy from 1980 and he's been playing basketball in 1980 and he came to today's game, he would be so out of place offensively, defensively, athletically, everything. Even if you can get him up to pace athletically, he would still be so out of pace in terms of the actions he would run, in terms of the places he would want to score. Yeah, K-Money, you're right, man. Siakam cannot create offense at a superstar level. Has never been debatable for me.
And neither can I create that in badminton. And I think that if Siakam just gets back to the fundamentals like I've learned, he'll be better.
Okay, I just want to say that for a sport that you're apparently not good at, the fact that you're comparing Siakam to you, basketball to badminton, I have to say that whatever people have to say about me, I think that is possibly the most slanderous thing ever said about Pascal Siakam. That Pascal Siakam is to basketball what Daryl is to badminton. Oh my God. Okay, the shade. But may I just say that it was such covert shade. It was so covertly and beautifully placed that it would be difficult for anyone who would troll you to even follow the argument. So I appreciate that.
I'm a man of nuance. So there you go.
You definitely are. All right, man. Welcome back to the chat. Thanks. It was lovely seeing you again, and glad you got to spend some time with the family, man. Cheers.
All right. See ya.
See ya. Okay. Next up. Okay, we have a lot of people still lined up. We have Blackhawk 2K. We have Marco. We have your goat. Let's get to Blackhawk 2K. Blackhawk 2K. I haven't pulled Daryl off. My bad.
You can pull me off.
Hey, Daryl, you can share the airwaves.
Hey, Blackhawk 2K, what's up?
Hey, not too bad. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right.
What'd you think of the game? Give it to me straight. What's going on with Siakam? We don't have to talk about Siakam. We can tell whatever.
Well, no. I'll go over that. I'll first of all, I'll say, you know what? I'm not going to make a big thing out of the Siakam thing because everybody goes through it up and downs.
For a month?
You know what? Everybody goes through it. Well, the last two games, I'm going to say Daryl was correct. He is recalibrating because he has to share those rebounds with the other team members, but also the assists is way too low. I'd rather see Siakam have those assists around 7, 8 than what do you get around tonight, or something like 2 or 3 or something like that, or what?
Assists?
Yeah, he got low 5 or not even 5. He didn't get no 5 tonight.
Siakam tonight had 1 assist.
Yeah, there you go.
One
This
assist,
is not
3
typical
rebounds,
Siakam. Yeah.
0 steals again.
Yeah,
Zero
it's not
steals.
typical. It's not typical of him, right? So
No, it's not. But everything
Right.
that calculates everything that calculates the things that matter,
Mhm.
apart from scoring. So
Right.
the scoring has been down in terms of efficiency. It's been going down for a while.
not
but I'm
not
talking
terribly down. Not terribly down. I mean, like 19
efficiency
points
is
not-
no, forget the points. I don't care
Yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah.
points.
But what I'm saying is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, we have worse players on this team, or worse performance on this team from other players than
yeah,
Siakam.
you have
Like if this is his
worse
worst,
performance from Juancho.
yeah.
like,
But if this is his worst, it's better than other people's best. To be honest, right?
Yeah,
So-
but
so-
he's not making he's not on a minimum contract. You can't compare him to minimum contract guys.
Well, I'm not saying minimum. Well, yes, we can. We can. Listen,
No,
we got
can't.
a product up there. We got a product out there. It wasn't so great tonight.
Mhm.
Just like how you have guys have bad shooting spells. This is
Right.
him going through something. I have the feeling that he'll come back no problem. Right. So I'm not going to look at it and say this is going to be Siakam for the rest of the season.
Okay,
That's not the way I'm
let
looking
me
at
ask
it.
you a question.
Yeah.
Well, let's play over under. Okay, without looking
Yeah.
at it through January.
Mhm.
What do you think Siakam's shooting from 3 in January after this game? Over or under 28%?
After this game,
Mhm.
I think he can get back to 32.
Well, he can't because there's no more games left in this month.
Well,
so
well,
I'm just
yeah, this
asking
month
for
is
this
over.
game, this game where
Oh,
he
he's
shot
25%. He's 25% on this game. One for 4. Right?
So
Right.
on the month, where do you think he
Mhm.
is? Over or under 28%?
Ooh, he had the other game 4 of 6. No, 6 of. Yeah, 4 of 6 maybe.
Just the fact that you have to think about it should
Yeah,
tell you
well,
what you
yeah,
need
I
to
gotta
know. I mean,
remember
we're
every one of
talking
the
about a
games.
league. We're talking
Yeah.
about a league in which average players shoot above
Yeah.
35% from 3. You got a guy who's
He's not
taking
at
4
35.
attempts.
Yeah, he's not. He'll do what? 6 in a game at most.
Okay, no.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
like over under
Yeah.
28%. Is he over or under 28% from 3?
He would be under it right now.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Over or under 23 points per game?
Yeah, he's around 22, 24 right now.
No.
Because he
is-
hasn't had a 30 point break for a bit now.
He's after this game. He's
I think
close,
he had
he's-
one
Yeah,
stinker
he's
of
under
11
23 points per game. He's under 23 points per game for the month.
Yeah.
Would you say he's over or under 0.5 steals for this month? I'm talking half a steal. He plays 39 minutes a game. Okay? So
Yeah.
forget the raw numbers. You play 39 a game. I'm surprised you don't get a steal by accident. Like this is an effort thing. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. He's 7'4" wingspan.
No, you ain't gotta buy it. I mean, you got your opinion. I got mine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna die over him. I'm looking at this game. There's lots of room for improvement for everybody on this game. Right?
Why are
So-
we not holding the max contract superstar who takes all the shots at a higher standard than we're holding a 21-year-old rookie, or a rookie? Because
so look at this. Look at the efficiency at the paint. Right. If you take away those 4 shots, he only took about 17 shots at it. So take away the 4, we got 13. You got 7 for 13. He's like 50% for what he was attempting at the hoop.
yeah,
Right?
I mean, shooting 50% at the rim is not a good percentage.
Well, he's a little bit less than that, right? But I mean, if you exclude the 3-pointers, he's around that.
Dominant paint scorers routinely shoot 65 to 70%.
Well,
at
you
the
didn't
rim.
have any dominant paint scorers tonight on there. If you look at it, not everybody was dominant tonight. So the team is below, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with this guy for an entire month.
Let me point out to you that Precious didn't take as many shots tonight as he could. He was like what, 5 for 9, if I'm correct, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, if I remember correctly. He didn't get as many shots as he could. If he had gotten some more shots, he may have produced more, right? But he didn't get as much.
I just think
The
that
shot distribution was different tonight. That's all.
I just feel like this is not like personally. I don't think this is the right way to look at basketball. This guy gets more points than this guy. Then he's doing this and that. Like, look, Siakam's your leading
It's
offensive
not
shot
about
taker.
the right way to look at basketball or something like that. I'm just saying, like, look, everybody is not gonna have a perfect game every month.
But
right now he's going
Black
through
Hawk
his
2K.
spell,
If
right?
we're gonna have a conversation,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to stay on.
Yeah.
We can't dodge each other, right? You're
I'm
saying
not
something.
dodging. I'm not
No, I
dodging.
think
I'm showing you my
personally,
mentality.
No,
Because you're saying
I'm saying one thing,
I'm
you're
not-
responding to something else
Yeah.
though, because that's what's bothering me right now. Is I'm saying,
go ahead.
why is this guy playing like this for an entire month? You're saying something completely different, right?
What am
In my opinion.
what am I saying? Because I didn't tell you to say he's doing it wrong. Because
No. Here's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I'm saying this guy's been bad for an entire month, right?
Right.
No, let me just retract this.
Yeah, go with that. Go with that.
I asked you over or under 28%
Yeah.
from three, right?
Right.
You had some trouble admitting under. Okay, let's be fair. That
Yeah,
took a
because
while.
I'm trying to
That took
remember
a
every
while.
game, right?
That took a while. I'm talking about his performance over an entire month, and you're saying, well, some guys are worse than him. I think these are arguments in bad faith. I think that this guy's struggling, but would you like I feel like we got to call an ace, man. If I don't care why he's struggling. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. If it's a minutes load, sit him. If he's checked out mentally, sit him. Talk to him. I remember Masai Ujiri had a tough talk with Scotty Barnes. Have a tough talk with Pascal Siakam, because this guy is needed right now. If this team is going to turn it around, and it seems like there are a lot of guys on this team that are working their ass off to turn it around. Kudos to Fred and Gary and frigging Scotty and everybody on this team. Basically, Precious. Like, look at the effort. Thaddeus Young diving on the ground. Scotty Barnes playing so hard. It bothers me to watch people play so hard and watch a guy coasting. He's not missing shots. He's
that's
coasting.
okay. So what I'm hearing is it bothers you, but I'm telling you it doesn't bother me.
That's
right?
fine.
I'm watching the game. We lost tonight. I'm going to live with it.
Are you telling me he's trying? He's trying really hard right now. You think he's
what I'm going to
competing
tell
really
you
hard?
is I'm not going to say he's not trying. What I'm going to say is focus could be better. His focus could be better, but I'm not going to say he's not trying or he doesn't have effort. His focus could be better. Why is his focus not there? That's on him. I don't know. I'm not in his head.
That's fair. I mean, look, there's a lot of drama going around this team, and obviously
But you see, you're okay with that. I don't know if it's drama or not. I don't know if he's got an ache. I don't know.
But
I'm just looking at from the team's perspective. We lost this one. I'm okay with us because we didn't get blown out terribly. It was kind of like a back and forth game, right? So it's not like we were embarrassing tonight. We're not that. We're not that at all, right? You asked about.
Did you expect to win this game? Did you expect the Raptors to win this game?
I expect that we're going to come up with 3 out of 3 games, because you asked this question about 2 nights ago or something, like 3 nights ago or something like that.
So you thought we were going to go 3-3 on this road trip?
I think we're doing 3-3, and right now we're 2-2. So I think we only need to pull out one more for me to be on par.
But you can't go 3-3 on a 7-game road trip.
We are probably going to go
3-4.
It's possible we could win 4 games out of the entire.
So
trip.
4-3 is your projection.
But originally I was going with 3, right? But I'm looking at this right now and I'm saying, okay, we're going up against the Rockets next. You think we're going to get blown out by the Rockets? I think it's a possibility that we take the Rockets.
If it's a possibility, dude, I think the last time I checked, they lost 13 straight. Like, they're the worst team in the league. I don't think it's possible you beat them. I think it's almost impossible you lose to them.
But also, I think we need to give the Suns some credit, because the Suns didn't lose the game before this. Right, the Suns were losing plenty of games before this, but they didn't lose the last one. They're trying to adjust to
This
Booker
is not a
being
good
out.
team. This is not a good team.
I'm sorry.
But
they're trying to adjust with Booker being out, right? So
they've been shit for like 3 months now, man. They were good to start the season, but they've been really bad.
I'm not going to argue that, but I'm going to say even if a team is crap, eventually some guys are going to start getting better and better. That's what we saw tonight.
They got 1 for 9 from Cam Johnson. They didn't get a great performance from Chris Paul.
I wouldn't look at Cam Johnson tonight. I'd look at more like Bridges or
Okay, let's
someone
wrap
else
this
out
up
there.
with, do you
Yeah.
agree with the decision to play Fred VanVleet on Mikal Bridges? Like, let's
Nah,
get off this.
nah,
You don't.
nah. He's Fred isn't gonna back away from playing anybody, but I don't think that was a good matchup. I don't.
I mean,
I would've
look,
put-
here's the thing. I see why you would do it. Fred's a pesky, undersized, guy with really good hands. I see, a reasoning for it. I just think that with so many long guys, maybe when it's not working, go away from it. I definitely think a lot of tonight should be on Nurse. I do. I think
Absolutely.
A lot of it
But
is on Nurse.
you hear me say that most of the time because I believe the coach should really control the team on every game. So I'm more of a guy that looks at it and say, okay, if the coach doesn't like what Siakam's doing, sit his ass down.
Yo, honestly, they probably win this game if you sit him in the fourth and don't bring him back. I'm just being
And I'm
real.
okay, and I'm okay with that assessment if that's what it
look
is.
what they sat Scotty in a fourth quarter where he was playing.
He's done it before,
terrible. And you know what? I agreed with that too. There was a game, if you recall, I believe in the New York game where they brought Scotty Barnes back in, and I was like, they shouldn't have brought him back in based on the way he's playing. So let's call an ace an ace. I'm gonna be fair. Like, I'm being fair with Fred VanVleet now. I'm being fair with Gary Trent Jr. I don't need somebody to outline and say, okay, that guy played bad. There have been plenty of games this year where I'm like, okay, everybody played well today. You just lost or you just won. But when I see a guy who's not even freaking boxing out, who's not rotating, there was a play tonight, I don't know if you caught it, where Siakam and somebody else leaked out and gave up a clear offensive rebound. It was a long shot, long rebound, old principle in basketball. They give up an open freaking three, and they didn't even try to get back. It was so annoying. I'm watching a different feed than the rest of you, so I'm watching two feeds.
This is why we say coaches are responsible, because a coach has the ability to call a timeout and say, hey, wait, you're effing up the floor, right? The coach does have power. When people are saying, well, the coach is not the one playing the ball. No, but he is the one that's controlling the team. And he's the one that controls what's happening in training, so in practice. So when we're looking at this and we don't like the result that we're seeing, it has to go back on. The coach has to, instead of the coach going into press conferences and blaming his players, the coach needs to step up at all times and say, you know what? No, he can come up with any answer without blaming the player in practice, and then get back and working on the crap. I'm not going to say they're not working.
We have seen Gary called out. We have seen Boucher called out. We have seen Precious. I mean, I don't know if we've seen Precious called out a little bit. We've seen Scotty called out many times. So I am just waiting for this coach.
Fair is fair. He should do it to everybody.
Fred VanVleet has played dog shit for an entire 2-month stretch of this season, and Siakam has just played pretty shit for a month. So I would like this coaching staff to be fair across the board and be able to say and react to when one of your better players is having not a bad game, not a bad week. We're talking a bad 15-game stretch in a season that is barely 50 games old. That's like almost half the season, man. I mean it's not almost half the season, but it's like a lot.
The halfway mark. Yeah.
I mean, we are past halfway mark of the season, but what I'm saying is that Siakam played like 40 games so far, 42 games so far this season, if I recall correctly. He's been really bad for the last 15 of them, in my opinion. There's like 2 games where he was good that buoyed the averages. But if you're taking 20, you're going to take 26 shots, you're going to give it 21 points, and I'm not supposed to kiss your ass and say it was a good game? It was a terrible game. I just don't think he's playing well. I don't think he's shooting well. I don't think he's helping his team. When he doesn't have the ball, he's just standing around, man. He's not setting screens. He's not doing shit for anybody. It's really bothering me. Anyway, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
I'm a professional performing artist. I've had to perform really, really exhausted many, many times. And there's lots of different outcomes, right, that happen when you're tired. Sometimes you're tired and you force. Another time you're tired and you're short. You're short of stuff, right? You can't get all the way around in your rotation, or you rotate too much and you actually overturn and you end up falling. So I don't want to look at the way that somebody's performing and assume what I can attribute to exhaustion versus what I can attribute to all the other things. That being said,
that's why you're not a basketball analyst, right? Is that fair?
Right.
Right. But I think that it's my job to say that, right? I think it's my job to be able to say decision making is not going to be necessarily a cumulative battle of it's not. There are certain things, I'm sorry, I've watched basketball for 20 years. It doesn't mean that I know everything about basketball, but it does mean that certain trends become obvious, and how guys, start to wean in moments where they play 44 minutes on a night. How are they in minutes 45, 46? Yeah, I think that's obvious when some guys run out of gas, back-to-back games, etc. However, I do not think that Pascal Siakam's minute load this year up until January 1st should be used as an excuse to completely just gloss over. Okay, because here's the thing. Critical evaluation is necessary, and certain blanket statements shut down critical evaluation completely, and especially when they're false. So, for instance, when Scotty was struggling, right, we talk about the injury. People didn't want to buy that because he didn't want to talk about it. Then people say, well, it's a rookie slump or a sophomore slump. Well, I think that kind of shuts down the nature of what's actually happening in the offense. Then people say, oh, he didn't work hard. Well, that's not true either. And that really shut down the discussion because it's false and it's just wrong and it shouldn't have been said. I'm not questioning Siakam's work ethic. I'm not suggesting that he's a good player. I'm just telling you that for the last month, he has played like a completely different player. And if Marco disagrees with that, or if you disagree with that, it doesn't really
And that's the thing.
matter.
I don't, right?
Sure.
I don't disagree with that. What I'm wanting to say, at least in this particular case with Siakam, and just in the case for a lot of players, really, is that, and I'm sure you agree, things are multi-factored, and you could argue what is more of a factor than anything else. You could simply say he's not focused. Like, that's my opinion. I feel like he's lacking a lot of focus, and if his equilibrium is off, he just kind of drops things. I think he's been struggling with defense the entire season, right? But I do think that when he's not focused, laser focused in whatever he's doing, just things just fall off a cliff, right? Could exhaustion be a factor? Sure. Could chemistry, things that we don't know that's happening, which we're not in the locker room, we literally don't know what's happening, could be a factor? Sure. We don't know all of the things. And so and when it comes to actually like, okay, how do we hold him accountable? Well, we can't. We can talk about where he's struggling and how that's impacting the team, but we can't hold him accountable. Coaching staff can, but do they hold them accountable publicly or not? Because when players are held accountable publicly, either we're upset because we feel it's unfair or unnecessary and not needed, or we think, yeah, it's great, it's going to put fire to their pants.
Yeah. I just want to address a couple of things quickly. First of all, Drew Cash Money, thank you for the super chat, man. Super chats have been going off. Super stickers have been going off crazy. Andrew M, this comment, Rob is a subject matter expert. We all know that. But if you're going to have a show where people call in, you have to be more patient, let people talk. And if they don't agree, that's fine. Look, I made it very clear in the last show when I shared that story, and I think I've made it clear in a couple of shows, that I do not appreciate gaslighting. It is literally my biggest trigger point, and I do not like it. I do not like not being heard, and I don't not hear other people. I have never at least consciously, without, like, I've never deliberately tuned someone out and just been like, okay, I'm going to say what I have to say. Sometimes, yes, I agree. We all get distracted. We have a point. Healthy communication starts by respecting people's boundaries. When I tell someone, please stop, and they do not stop and they get louder, that is going to push a button for me, because that puts me out of control in a live show setting. So I ask for empathy. If you're going to make this comment that insinuating that I don't listen to people, I disagree. And frankly, you're entitled to your opinion. If you think I need to be better because I, host a show on YouTube, I'm sorry, man, this is a space. This is like I'm inviting people into my living room to talk to me. And if you don't like it, get the hell out. I think that's a fair way to look at it. I have been open to dissenting opinions. I have been open to people who disagree. I have been open to people who are critical of Scotty. I've been open to people who think Siakam's a top 5 player. I've been open to people who think I'm too critical of Fred or whoever. It doesn't really matter. I don't care about the basketball part of it being a disagreement. What I care about is that if we're going to communicate, we're gonna stick to the issues. I told Marco that I felt he was dodging. I'm bringing up a point, you're just swifting it. It's the same thing with Blackhawks 2K earlier. It was a very frustrating conversation for me, because if I'm talking about, like, if I'm asking you a question and you're just like not going to even address the question, then we can't really have a conversation. That's not smooth listening for anybody. That's not smooth conversation for me. And frankly, I do this show partly because I want to converse with other Raptor fans. Why would anyone want to have a conversation they don't want to fucking have? I don't owe anybody anything. I'm just being clear and direct about that. I don't owe anyone anything. I'm sitting here at 1:22 a.m. What I do have to be mindful of, though, is that it's not like I have to be mindful of the audience here. I do have to be mindful of the audience. And so I'm overstepping for sure by saying, okay, like, swearing at somebody and telling them to fuck off. Like, I think that's overstepping massively. And I apologize for that. Genuinely. I didn't want to go there. But, I mean, you seem like a very empathetic and very sensible person. You mentioned you were a performing artist. I'm also an artist. So maybe that's kind of the job of an artist, to be able to put yourself in another person's shoes. I think these live shows put you in a very vulnerable position as a host. And I don't see anybody else doing this. And there's a reason for that, because they're highly unpredictable and they're totally out of your control.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to mention, because I do see, because I consume a lot of basketball content, right? And I used to watch a lot of lives. I'm now sticking to Raptors focused lives, but I used to watch lives for other teams when I had more time earlier in the pandemic, and I could watch more basketball overall.
Yeah.
And I used to watch how some of those interactions went. And that is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on to kind of share this, because I see how unplanned conversations with strangers, some of them who don't really seem to know what they're talking about, maybe only watched 15 minutes of the game and have a lot of formed opinions on a box score and 15 minutes, want to say a lot of things, or maybe they have like some delusions of grandeur about a particular player or a particular team's, outcomes. Yeah, I've heard it. I've seen it in those talks, but I've also seen how those talks are able to be fruitful, and that kind of like a little bit of tension. Cause like I saw that FU coming a mile away. Right?
So did I. I've never hung up on anybody. I've never hung up on anybody. But you know what? I need to be able to
have tension with Marco before and didn't see it coming in that way. And I just feel like there is space. Like even when he started the conversation, he's like, yeah, I wanted to trade this guy. I tried to trade this guy, but I
don't care if someone tried to trade him.
I think what he's trying to say is that he's not a super fan of Siakam, but
I know that. I know that he's not a super fan, but that's besides the point. Look, I think for anyone out there, I took philosophy as an elective, and I got hooked on it in university. And one of the things I took was sentential logic. And it's a beautiful course. And if someone doesn't know about sentential logic, or arguments, or type of argument fallacies, and types of arguments that are just poor arguments, and circular logic, and all these things, I think you should look into it. Because I think that there's a lot of things that are said in this world by politicians, by lawyers, by cops, by whoever, that you might say, man, that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Even by coaches and by players and by me, maybe sometimes, and by callers on this show. And circular logic, quite frankly, is or just illogical, comments. Like one thing does not follow the other. It's like me saying, I have a cup and therefore it's going to rain tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm sorry, like if someone says, hey, Rob, can you please explain how that makes no sense? And it's just like, well, just watch it rain tomorrow. You're going to be like, this is a very stupid conversation, bro. I'm sorry. It's just like, I'm not trying to be a douche about it. I'm just saying that at some point, if you're going to have a conversation, I can talk to people at different levels in terms of like they're new to the game, they don't understand the game. And I think people in this chat could be pretty much advocates for that I've had private conversations with people who are really new and learning the game. And I'm happy to explain it from the beginner's mindset. And I've had conversations with people who are analysts, coaches, trainers, players. And we've had really deep conversations in which we're referencing terms that have never been brought up on the show. I can have a conversation on different levels. What I cannot have is a conversation where respect is not mutual. And when respect is not mutual, we're going to go back into, I think, like, do you agree that people have a default? Like, I want to wrap this up at this point, because I think this is probably getting tedious for people at 126 talking about how I should or should not act. I appreciate you coming on, but I do just want to ask you a question. Do you believe that people have sort of like a default, like a person that they go back to when they get pushed up too far against the wall?
For some people, yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, that's me. I think I have, a default. I think that dealing with Marco a few times, I thought that I could just be better, and by extending boundaries. And I think the last couple of conversations that I have with him have been better. But this one just, it just went into a wall. And you saw it coming from a mile away. Kudos to you for that. I did not see it coming from a mile away, and I
I
probably
did. I
should
was
have.
like in the comments, like, no, no, don't
Yeah.
let it go. Don't let it go there. But
You
it
know
went
what? Here,
there.
here. Let me make a promise. The next time a call is getting that far away, I'm just gonna cut it off. Okay? Just so it's not as uncomfortable and as toxic for other people. Cool.
Sure.
All right. Thanks a lot
Well,
for calling on, and you seem like a really like a basketball diehard. And thanks for calling. I really appreciate it.
yeah, I really do love basketball. I just wish I had more time to watch it.
Don't we all, right? Like I wish I had.
Yeah.
I was telling my girlfriend yesterday. I was like, I wish I had a month where time did not tick. There's so much I would do. All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night. Take care.
Thanks for calling. See ya. Next up, we have Jace. Jace, you are the final caller. What's up?
Hey, hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, I just want to just not take too much of your time. I just wanted to know, what do you think is just ending off the show here? What do you think is the most realistic trade that the Raptors would be doing by the deadline? Like the most realistic trade, whether
Um,
it be like a finite example or like something specific or just something in general. Like, what do you see with your like knowledge and expertise around the league and all these teams? What do you see the Raptors and Masai Bobby doing?
um, I could see a lateral downgrade. So last year we saw the Raptors trade a Goran Dragic for Thaddeus Young, and they added a first round pick, and they took back a second. So for the Spurs, in that case, since the Spurs knew that they were going to be bad, they didn't mind taking back a guy that they had no intention of keeping, but they got the first round pick, right? And I think they selected 20th. I could see us doing something very similar with either Gary or Thad Boucher, some combination of that. I think at the minimum something like that would have to happen. So like you package Gary and maybe a future second, and you get back a guy that you're gonna stretch and waive or just waive outright buyout because he's not expiring. Gary ends up helping out of the team, and you take back like a 2023 first rounder in exchange for your trouble, something like that, or a young player like kind of what we got in the Kyle Lowry sign and trade with Precious Achiuwa. I'm sure there's a ton of, the Raptors are aggressive scouters, right? They scout aggressively, and last year they scouted in the lottery pretty well because there was a thought that they might trade up into the lottery. So they had guys like Dyson Daniels, Shaden Sharp, Ben Mathurin, guys like that really appeal to them. So I could see them adding another young piece and maybe, a guy on a rookie scale contract and letting go of a couple of pieces that don't make sense. I think beyond that, everything is in the very, 10% to 15% outcome range. I don't think it's definitively guaranteed that Pascal Siakam or Fred VanVleet would be moved. I think the only thing that can be sure is number one, I think there's going to be a trade, whether it's small or big, I don't know. And two, it's not going to be for Scotty Barnes. So those are the two things that I know. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jace.
All right.
Cheers. All right. Okay, I just want to take a moment to just say I'm sorry about the Marco thing. And Marco, if you're still listening, I apologize. I don't like to get heated and angry. I haven't gotten angry once in like 5-6 days, but yeah, there's definitely some buttons that can be pushed. In a somewhat hilarious turn of events, when I said there are some buttons that could be pushed, I pressed the button to eject myself from the studio. That was kind of funny. All right, now to get on to, I apologize in advance. I'm not going to be able to see the chat while I'm doing this. So if you're going to say something, I'm going to have to hear about it after. So I just want to quickly break down. We're at 1 hour and 52 minutes of this chat. So we're probably going to have to cut out the Marco segment, the drama segment, because I don't think that's interesting for anybody. But yeah, let's try to wrap the players 9 through 6. It's 9 through 6? 9 through 7. Let's wrap up the players 9 through 7 on the Raptors now. Just a refresher. Yesterday, in the last stream, towards the middle-ish, there are chapters now, so you can go see it if you're interested. We did a very rough breakdown of the players that I think are 16th to 10th on this team. And those players were 16, Ron Harper Jr., 15, Kem Birch, 14, Malachi Flynn. 13, Delano Banton. 12, Jeff Doughton Jr. 11, Thaddeus Young. 10, Juancho Hernan Gomez. So this is, of course, juxtaposed to the list that I did earlier in the season, or at the preseason mark, where I ranked out all 20 Raptors at the time in training camp. And you know, at that point, you guys can obviously go check out that list. It's held pretty okay. There's obviously some guys who've moved up, some guys who've moved down. Jeff Doughton Jr. moved down, for instance. Moved up. Juancho moved up, and in the case of Thad, he moved down. Played really well tonight. Juancho played like shit, so maybe, you know, 10-11 could be swapped for 11-10. I don't know. But what I do know is that Juancho, the player type, in theory, of Juancho, is a better fit with this core than the player type for Thad. I do, however, think that Thad has had a better season so far than Juancho, and I don't think it's even close. Let me just quickly zoom into the comments here before I jump into this. Okay, Kwan's effect. Yeah, Quada from Mars. That's funny. Sorry, have I missed anything here in the chat? Okay. Cool. We hear from Marco. Okay. So first up, I'm gonna tell you guys who my players 9 through 7 are, and I want you to rank them 9 through 7, and I just want to see what you guys think. So my players are OPJ, Koloko, and Boucher. I'm obviously going to put them in my order, the order that I had in mind, but rank these players from best to worst. So that would be your ranking 7, 8, 9. Oh my God, Marco, you are just continuing. Stop it, man. In your youth, you played sports. Congratulations. I played sports. Nothing that you and I have ever done in our athletic backgrounds compares to being an NBA athlete. Okay? Just please stop. All right. Oh my God. I gotta say, I blame Daryl for this in a funny, joking way, comparing his badminton aspirations to Siakam's. It's opened a floodgate. All right. Okay, let's see. So best to worst. Marco, you could talk whatever the hell you want, man. Honestly, you say what you want, man. Like, you just, like, at some point, like, there's so much that I think you don't know, and it seems like you're so passionate. It's kind of sad that you know, like, you're just gonna, like, I don't know. My mother said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So listen twice as much as you talk. I talk a lot. I understand that. I've had to work a lot in my life to learn how to listen to people. I don't think you're really listening to the people who are giving you feedback, bro. I just think that that's true. I'm trying to address it nicely now that you're not like screaming in my ear. So like it's much easier for me to just say what I wanted to say to you initially, which is just, I think there's a lot you don't know about basketball, man. I'm just being honest. I think there's a lot you don't know, and I think there's a lot we all don't know. You know, Brian and I, one of the funniest things we talked about was that there's a level that we could all get to. Like even people who studied the game deeply for 20 plus years. Brian is a Division I athlete. He trains NBA players, and he's just like, yeah, man, there's so much I can get better at. There's so much I can learn every day. Want to learn. And it's just impossible to do that if you just try to hammer your opinion down on someone's throat. Like this podcast, I mean, this, whatever this is, podcast, video show, live stream, is all about trying to find ways to meet in the middle on disagreements. Like I love having conversations with people I disagree with, but yeah, it's just, all right. Who is OPJ? Otto Porter Jr. is OPJ. So we got Otto Porter, Boucher, Koloko. So it seems like a lot of people think Koloko or Otto are the best players. OPJ, Koloko, Boucher. Koloko, Boucher, Otto Porter. Adventures with Smiles. You think Otto Porter is worse than Boucher? Okay, I get it. I mean, it's because he hasn't played. Nice asterisk there. Otto Porter Jr. healthy. Koloko, Boucher. Okay, all right. Otto Porter, Boucher, Koloko. Boucher. Huh? Boucher, because that's funny. Darren, I think you had a Freudian slip. Boucher, Otto. I think you meant Koloko, Boucher, Otto. Okay. Koloko, Boucher, Otto, Koloko. Okay, cool. We're seeing a lot of. Wow. PJ, Boucher, Koloko. Boucher, Koloko. Okay, cool. I don't really understand the comments where it's just one guy, but all right. John saying, Rob, you're being slightly too hard on him. There's a quote from a movie that I cannot remember now, but it's like, that's like your opinion, man. I think that's like, John, I have nothing but respect for you, obviously, and you're entitled to that opinion. But I think, yeah, no, D, you're right. This is the right answer. Stop giving this so much attention. I agree. Hey man, it's a talent. It's a talent to get people stirred up. It's a talent to get people talking like this. So, like, okay, Marco, the chat has moved on from that. Can you please stop railroading it, bro? Like, we are moving on to a different topic, okay? We are moving on. Can you please stop? I hate the fact that the last 35 minutes have been devoted to Marco talk. I really hate it. This show is not about you. Stop. All right. Jesus Christ. Brian K. I've wondered if Rob is on Scotty's payroll. Have you really wondered that? Have you really wondered that? You really think Scotty Barnes needs to pay a YouTuber? Man. Jesus. Alrighty, Marco. Adios. Have a good night. All right. Let's go. Okay. So let's start with my number 9. Okay. I went back and forth a million times on this, and I could really go one of a lot of ways. But my number 9, and let me just, you know what? Give me 1 minute to just arrange these properly, because they're all out of order, and that way we're going to have a smoother viewing experience. My bad. Oh no. Okay. You know what's terrible? I'm missing a slide, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm missing a slide. And it is making me sad. Hang on one sec. I gotta find it. CB3. There we go. Got it. I should have done this before the chat, guys. I'm so sorry. I should have organized this a little bit better. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to just flash this on the screen. Okay, so that is just take a moment to just understand Chris Boucher, who is going to be our number 10. Sorry, our number 9. So Chris Boucher is going to be our number 9 player. I think Boucher has consistently been one of the higher impact guys for the Raptors since he's gotten regular rotation minutes. I think that he consistently puts a great effort on the offensive glass. Ironically, one of his leading comparables in terms of analytics was actually Pascal Siakam. He's very switchable. He's a lot more switchable than people realize. He is a really integral part of Division 6-9. He's a long defender. He presents a ton of size at the rim. He's not like a great post defender per se, but he doesn't have a great size. But in transition, he can sometimes be great. Where I think, he really struggles is obviously passer rating, fifth percentile passer rating. He's really not a playmaker for anybody else. It's pretty much for himself. He's a finisher only. And I think that he's a really good role player. I think that, for the most part, he's provided a lot more than most guys that come off the bench. He gets to the line a lot. His free throw rate is in the 83rd percentile. His offensive rebounding, is intense, right? You often see him just busting, his butt on the offensive glass. I think he's just a really solid role player. I just think that when you have a guy who consistently makes bad decisions with the basketball in his hands, that it can somewhat stifle your offense. I think on defense, rim defense being in the 8th percentile is somewhat troubling. Deflections being 55th percentile for a guy that long and that active is sort of troubling as well. Obviously, he gets up a lot of points for versatility. Versatility, of course, we'll see it flashed in the next slide where it shows exactly who you guard on a nightly basis. And, for him, there's a lot of variance to his matchups on a nightly basis. And again, I apologize to anybody who's in the comments. I cannot see the comments as I'm working through these slides. I wish I could, but I can't. So just working through this, some things that stick out to me from this, and by all means, you're free to, pull this up later and go back to it. But, for a guy who spends that much time, his usage by play type is very limited to spot up and cutting. There's not any sort of like post ups or there's not a great deal of isolation to his game. It's just pretty much a role player. He is a role player. His Darko rating and defensive Darko are solid, even though his his crafted defensive plus minus from the previous slide is not as great as you would expect for such a long player. We can look at how this all compares to his career. I think what we're painting here with this analytics profile is solidly a guy who is like should be the 8th guy on a team. He should be spot minutes, should be 8th or 7th guy on a team. Probably not your 6th man, definitely not a starter. A lot of limitations to his game, especially from the playmaking side. Let's see how it's sort of trending for him. Per 36 minutes are usually garbage, and totals are usually garbage, so you should probably move on from this. I don't like the per 36 minutes last, so we're going to just look at the per 100. And of course, to those people who are very finicky about per 100 or per 75, you can convert it. It's very simple. But in terms of the advanced stuff and the per 100 that I like to look at, per 100, I mean, it's kind of flatlined at this point. He ping pongs back and forth between 27 and 24, 23. In terms of the rebounding, it has gone down this year from the peaks earlier on when he was playing fewer minutes. But obviously, since he's been getting consistent minutes, which is 2020, 2021, which is, I believe, the bubble season, he's just, been pretty much the same player, better or worse by a bit, not really improving in any particular aspect. One thing that has, of course, steadily declined over the last 3 years is his 3-point attempt rate has gone, 3-point attempts per 100 possessions have gone down, and his 3-point attempt rate has also gone down every single year over the last 3 years. He's taking fewer threes, and this year, I mean, again, there was a time when he was shooting 38.3% from three, and that was on solid volume. His three-point shooting is now 5% below league average, and that's not great. In terms of his actual impact, this year he's been a negative 0.1 box plus minus. That is not great for a guy who usually dominates that stat. Again, like last year he was 0, I think, but the year before, which was really, by all accounts, his best season, 2020, 2021, he was 3.3 box plus minus. The win shares, everything has just been down over the last 3 years. So this is a player who's steadily been in decline, and I don't think that that's something unexpected for a guy who is 30 years old. But to anyone who says, well, like you pick up basketball really late, so you're gonna, ascend until your 30s. I think this is a case of a player who's consistently flatlined and gotten slightly worse every single year. There isn't a hell of a lot he's getting better at. There are gaps in his game that he has not addressed. There are strengths that are now sort of weaknesses, like shooting. What would a 2020, 2021 Chris Boucher do for that second unit right now? Launching, 7.8 threes per 100 possessions. I think would be great. I think we can take a moment here for me to just go to the chat and just be able to see what you guys are saying, and then I'll go right back to my number 8 player. I think the number 8 player is gonna just blow your mind, I think. Oh, John, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. Super chat's flying off the... Wow. That's great. I mean, thank you guys so much. Sorry, I'm just looking through the chats, see if there's anything I missed, any questions. Koloko can be our future center. Da, 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 da. If you can go back in time, who would you take? Hey, Money, who are you talking about? Clutch Tatum, the guy is 30. Yes, he is. Is he 29? He's 30, isn't he? If he's 29 now, he's turning 30 this year. I think that's how Basketball Reference works. But if he's 29 right now, he's turning 30 very soon. Yup. Clutch Tatum. I think it was like after the YouTube fees and stuff, I think it was like 600 and change. I think 650-ish. It was a lot. So honestly, I don't think all of our super chats prior to that totaled that much. So it was pretty crazy. Yeah, okay. Let's move on to our next player. Now, this player was... Now, I want to, let me try to clarify here. These are players that I would not... these are players in terms of scales of how I value them long term. Okay? That's a little bit of a gray area because you're saying, well, is this projecting 1 year out, 3 years out? Is this asset value? Is this a trade value ranking? Is this who they are right now? I think it's sort of a combination of all. It's just a ranking. It's kind of weird, right? It's just a ranking, bro. It's just a ranking. It's just how I see these players. It's a lot of things. It's not just their impact on winning tomorrow or today. I think that would be probably very much elevate some of the older guys and hurt the younger guys. It's hard to evaluate a guy like Otto. He's injured, and he's injured a lot. He was injured a bit last year, a lot the year before, and a lot this year. He's played 8 games. How do you evaluate that guy, right? I'm just saying that on a median year, at a median point in their near future, as on their current contract, just how do I value them as an asset, right? If I overvalue the future, then obviously I'm going to start putting like Precious over Fred, and you guys are going to hate me, right? If I overvalue the present, then I'm going to put Thad over Koloko, and then and possibly like put some I might put Kem over Koloko, and then you think I'm crazy. So I'm trying to blend all of the rankings into one cohesive unit, kind of like what analytics are trying to do. They're trying to take all of the offensive production or all of the defensive production and put it into a coherent thing. So my number 8 player is Otto Porter Jr. And he was my 5th player, but I think that the durability and the fact that he will now be a year older next year and he may have a player contract, I think this is going to, hamper how effective he's going to be for you. But as you can see, the analytics love Otto Porter. His true shooting percentage is off the charts. His shot diet is incredible, even though his shot quality is in the 3rd percentile. But I think, he just shoots so many threes, right? Load and creation are obviously low. They always have been. Portability, pretty much plug him into any team you want. 73rd percentile offensive player. 88th percentile defensive player, and that does not surprise me. And that's really the part that the Raptors miss so much, because when you start playing Juancho, you start playing Thaddeus Young, who's taken massive slips on defense. You start playing Kem Birch. You really are missing this guy, and this guy was the key to unlocking everything for that second unit, in my opinion. I occasionally even thought he might close games for this team. The fact that he hasn't been healthy I know the Raptors haven't done it the way that the previous regime did with Jorge Garbajosa, where they said, "Oh my God, if Jorge Garbajosa was just there," and people started to have a running meme with it, like, "Oh my God, stop talking about Jorge Garbajosa." He is like a way better version of Jorge Garbajosa. I think he's so underrated. Um, in terms of numbers here that stick out, I mean, he's extremely versatile, right? In terms of his defensive matchups, you can see he guards pretty much everyone. There are times, his Darko rating, I just think that his, you know, he's just been really good defensively. His defensive box plus minus is off the charts, right? I mean, for number of minutes he was playing, his steals per game are off the charts. Again, it's hard to say 8-game sample size, so I don't want to necessarily look too much into the numbers. It's just my gut is telling me that if he plays 50 games this year, this is a different season. And I don't think that anyone below him has that kind of impact on whether they play or don't. So that's just sort of where I stand on Otto. We can look at his career, and I think that his career would tell you that he's been really good at points in his career. And this is not just, something that's one off, right? So here we have his advanced stats. I mean, you can see consistently a positive box plus minus guy, except for the 3 games played in Orlando. I mean, an entire career of positive box plus minus and an entire year of double digits win shares per 48 for the most part. He's a consistently good 3-point shooter, true shooting percentage, high 50s. Again, ignore the 3 games played for Orlando. We're talking mid to high 50s, low 60s. He takes really good shots. He's not a volume 3-point shooter. And look at the usage rate. You never see it trending in 25%, 23%, whatever. He's not a high usage guy. He's just a guy that fits. He fits so well with everyone, and he's such a great teammate. And, honestly, my biggest, the suckiest part of this year is that you haven't gotten to see him play, because I'm a really huge fan. In terms of, where his numbers are per 100 possessions. Again, you can look at last year Golden State as really the last example of just a healthy Otto and what he was able to provide: 18 points, 13, 12 and a half rebounds. But I mean, like, look at the steals, the assists. It's just all over the place. The 3-point attempts, 7.5 attempts per, and that's kind of the area that Chris Boucher in Tampa was. But just, again, 37% on his career, nearly a 40% 3-point shooter. I think if this guy's healthy for you and he picks up his player option and he just has a resurgent year last year, I know some people have kind of given up on that. I think that he could be like a really huge part of your bench, but he will need to rehab. I don't think that the injury that he had was necessarily all that predictable. I think that it was somewhat of a freak injury, but it does suck that it happened to him. And I'm a really big fan of Otto Porter Jr. Now, moving on to the last person is a finesser. Does that mean he's a finesse player, or I don't understand the term. We're having a completely different chat here. Garbo was a beast too. Agreed. Okay, so we have saved the, I guess, the best for last in this case. Now, some people are going to say that I'm absolutely crazy about this, right? How can a guy who's consistently getting DNP going down to the G League, how can he be so good? Well, I'm gonna try to make a case that Christian Koloko is a hell of a lot better than people realize, and I've been trying to make this case since Summer League, and it's based on a lot. It's based on what I've seen. It's based on what the analytics are telling me. It's also based on what I think are projectable weaknesses that can be addressed. Strength and training will be addressed. I've rarely ever seen a rookie big man who got weaker in his sophomore season. I see how he's struggling at the rim. I see games where he hasn't struggled as much at the rim. I think this is a matter of timing, rhythm. I don't think he has bad hands. I don't think he has bad touch. I just think that he's getting pushed off his spot and he's having to adjust to just playing against grown men. I think he's gotten better as the season's gone along. I'm glad that he's getting G League touches, but let's look at Christian Koloko, because I think his analytics are really going to surprise you for a lot of good reasons. Okay, let's go to Christian Koloko. Where are we? Okay, CK1. All right, so first of all, yikes, got to pull this off for a sec. First of all, the number that jumps out at me here is 91st percentile in the crafted defensive plus minus. The other number that jumps out at me absolutely jumps out at me is his block percentage at the rim is in the 99th percentile. He's already one of the best shot blockers in the league as a rookie at 21 years old. True shooting percentage, again, that's going to get better. I think that's going to get better. Free throw attempt rate, he gets to the line a lot for a guy that young. Offensive rebound rate is great. Again, 91st percentile. He's a good offensive rebounder. He does a lot of what Boucher does. Where I think that he is just so much better is look at that passer rating at 17th percentile. I think that can climb as high as 45th to 50th percentile at some point in his career. Obviously, a 10th percentile offensive player per a crafted offensive plus minus is not going to jump out at anyone, but I really do think that that number can climb up to 45 to 55 by career end. But where I see that crafted defensive plus minus going, I think that's the most interesting part. So let's continue to look. And I promise you there's going to be a payoff to this. I think there's going to be a aha, are you effing kidding moment in this. And trust me, I debated putting him as, I debated putting him at 9th because I do think that the weaknesses are obvious, but I also think that the strengths are staggering. Okay. So here's a first whoa moment. His defensive comparables closest is Miles Turner, a player that the Raptors have been chasing for a while. The fourth is Jaren Jackson Jr., another guy that Raptor fans have talked about. Overall, Isaiah Hartenstein, a player that I said, hey, the Raptors really need to target this guy in the offseason. His closest comparable score is to that. And we have Isaiah Jackson, Jaren Jackson Jr., a lot of names of big, mobile, not necessarily mobile always, but big guys who block shots at the rim. Offense obviously is a completely different story. He's, being up there with some of the worst players. But interesting enough, there's an 87 score match with Precious Achiuwa. The number here that really should jump out at you, you could look at his defensive Raptor already being positive. It's very rare for a rookie. His Darko rating being positive, also really rare for a rookie. And being in the 97th percentile, 91st percentile, as I mentioned earlier, for crafted defensive plus minus is an enormous thing. I think he's just really solid. Defensively, he's been so solid. And it's the eye test stuff too, right? I mean, his defensive matchups have primarily been centers. Like, he's not the most versatile guy on this team. But I see that as more of a function of role where they've chosen not to switch as much with him on the court, and they've chosen to drop a little bit more because it's such a strength of his. But I think when the matchup dictates it and you have a stretch big, he's one of those rare rookie bigs that I actually think can switch and play on the perimeter. I've seen it. I've seen him get Chris Paul to pick up his dribble or James Harden to pick up his dribble. And I think that as he gets bigger, and he gets better, his hands, his touch, his IQ for the game, I think all of these things are going to start to shine a little bit more with him. Next up, we have just his stats. I don't think that anything here should be jumping out at you like crazy, but per 100 possessions, 3.6 blocks per 100 possessions. It's good. It's solid. In terms of, defensive box plus minus, he's already a positive in the defensive box plus minus rate. Obviously, as a value of a replacement, he is a below average player right now. And I think that was probably to be expected, given his glaring offensive inefficiency or deficiency. I think a lot of that, honestly, as a role man, has a lot to do with how many passes guys have missed giving it to him. And part of it is also on him. I think, when you look at his scoring output, it is not great. His field goal percentage for a guy who mainly finishes around the rim is not great. His 3-point percentage being 11% is obviously highly misrepresentative given how many attempts he takes, but that's also not great. 66% from the line is also not great. And there's just a lot there that's not great. But I think that there's a lot to work with too. And I really do truly think that he has the potential to turn it around as soon as next year. Now, here is the mic drop moment that I was hinting at. Here are two players. I mean, you already know who the two players are. Here's Christian Koloko compared to Evan Mobley. Now, I do not think that he is Evan Mobley. I don't think he's like Evan Mobley. I don't think that, but someone had made the comparison earlier in the season, and I was like, don't be absolutely nuts. But you see that there are certain things that stick out to you right away. The free throw rate, the offensive rebounding, the rim frequency, the block percentage. These things are all strengths, right? So where is Evan Mobley really shining here is the true shooting percentage being 7% higher, or 6% higher is a really big plus, or a big feather in Evan Mobley's cap. Obviously, he has a bigger load, more creation responsibilities, and a higher passer rating. And he's younger. He's younger by a year. But a lot of the same stuff, man. High deflection rate. I think Koloko can get much stronger as a defensive rebounder, but I alluded to it earlier in the chat. There's a lot of defensive rebounds that he just simply does not grab because it's part of the Raptors scheme for him not to grab them. You think that a guy who's 91st percentile in offensive rebounds could not grab more defensive rebounds if he really wanted to? Of course, he could grab way more defensive rebounds, and these numbers would be probably even closer to Mobley defensively if he was grabbing more defensive rebounds. Now, here is the big aha moment. Way too smoky says advanced metrics don't like Mobley. They kind of do, but they kind of don't. Now, I've been talking all year about a rookie, Dyson Daniels, right? You guys heard me talk about Dyson Daniels, how great he is on defense, his two-way impact, et cetera, two-way potential. Now, he has a really good offensive skill, which is passing. I think he's a really good passer, and his ball handling is coming along, and everyone's just kind of saying, man, if he evolves as a shooter, it's really going to be lights out, right? I see a lot of Dyson Daniels type potential in Christian Koloko. Don't yell cap yet. Just look at this, okay? There's Dyson Daniels at 18 and Christian Koloko 21. Now, granted, there is an age gap. However, there's also a gap in when these two players picked up basketball, right? Their crafted offensive plus minus is almost identical. They are both really bad offensive players right now in terms of what they're providing for their teams. They have strengths, right? For Dyson Daniels, it is his passing. He is clearly a facilitator, and if he never evolves into anything else, he's going to be Ricky Rubio with great defense. And that's a hell of a freaking player. That's a hell of a player to have drafted at any point in the draft, especially outside the top 5. So I am very much on board with Dyson Daniels being a really good player. But, look at the defensive plus minus. It's identical. So I think that this sort of prospect, this, defensive first, offense, after everything type prospect, guys like Herb Jones last year. Now, granted, Herb Jones wasn't this aggressively bad on offense, but he was pretty close, right? He wasn't wowing anyone on offense. I'm not talking about reputational defenders either. I'm not talking about a Davion Mitchell where it's like, oh, he's off night, he's so great, and then the defensive analytics don't really back it up. I will say that, for the most part, defensive analytics have a long way to go. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's much easier to measure offense than defense, in my opinion, much easier. But analytics, numbers, raw box scores, they all have gaps. I'm saying that a lot of what I'm seeing here is also based on the eye test. I have seen him create at the G League level and the Summer League level in short roll situations. Those situations, I think it's Jonathan McLean asked in one of our in one of our comments, he said, how can you tell that a guy in the G League is ready to make the next step? And I responded basically that there are certain things that project well on the next level, and there are certain things that don't really project that well on the next level. And one of the things that really projects well, in my opinion, is passing. So if I've seen a guy who's 7 feet tall, has good hands, has solid length, solid mobility, and I have seen him in rare occasions where he's asked to do so, flash playmaking potential in the short roll, flash shooting potential, man, I am just all in on this guy. So I rank Christian Koloko as the 7th player on this team. I started the season with him 10th, so he has moved up. Otto Porter started the season 5th, so he has moved down. And Chris Boucher was 8th, and now he's 9th, so he's moved down by 1 as well. So that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you to everyone who gave so much to the super chats and all of that stuff. Man, I'm humbled by the support. Thank you so much. Sorry, slang word that was finessing is often done with. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I don't think Otto finessed the Raptors. If that's kind of what you're saying, like he screwed over the Raptors or something like this. I don't think this is like a Hakeem Olajuwon situation where he just kind of wanted to, yeah, like I don't think that's it. But sure. Um, does anyone know offhand, because there's so many moments where I haven't been able to pay attention to the chat? Is there a super chat or something that I missed? I don't know. I didn't want to miss it, and I haven't been paying as much attention to the comments. All right, cool. All right, so if you missed some part of this or whatever, this is going to get clipped up in the next hour, and it's going to get time stamped and stuff. So if you missed some part of it, you zoned in late, or you left early. Well, if you left early, how would you possibly hear this? I will add timestamps and stuff, and you'll probably see those activated around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Yeah, I'll catch you guys next time at the next game. Adventures with Smiles, thank you so much. Tamberlin, what was the post of the night? No, I mean, I knew it. I just wanted to clarify if there wasn't a second term. Sorry, I know what finessing means in terms of a slang. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't mean that there's a second version of the word finesse, which is to be a finesse player, like a soft, I don't want to say soft, but like more of a less contact player, which could also allude, there's like a double meaning there where you could also be talking about Otto can't deal with contact because he gets injured all the time. So I just wanted to clarify, when people use words that have multiple meanings, it's always good to clarify what they mean. Okay. All right, man. Thanks a lot. And yeah, I agree, man. Let's keep the tank rolling. I mean, but knowing me saying that they're gonna come out next game, blow the team out by like 40 points or something, and then we're all gonna be like, okay, where do we go from here? And I mean, if we're feeling this way, can you imagine how Masai Ujiri feels right now? Granted, he has probably a lot more intel. Anyway, good night, y'all, and yep. Alrighty. Yeah, give a shout out to Tankathon. It's gonna get the Raptor fans Tankathon and probably Jack Daniels. Tankathon and Jack Daniels is a combination that people probably need. I do not advocate drinking because you're depressed that your team lost, but I'm making fun of it anyway. All right. Good night. Good night, your goat. Thanks for calling in. Thank you to everyone who called in. Whether we agree, disagree, whatever, I would like to say that we need to be more respectful, and I fall into that. I'm talking to myself as well. I need to be more respectful. I need to be more patient for sure. But yeah. All right. I don't actually have any alcohol. I don't have any alcohol. Anyone want to Uber Eats me a beer or something? I would love a beer right now, but I don't have any alcohol in the house. So, all right. Take care. See you guys. Cheers. Oh, and make sure to hit like on your way out, subscribe, all that good stuff. Take care. Bye.